Oh, what is it? Yes, I almost forgot I put that in this video. Yeah, I got a shiny Arctozolt the other day. I'm gonna have to use that next season. It's on my list. It's on my list. Shiny Arctozolt. I won't spoil the other ones because they'll be in future videos. But what is up, y'all? It is the last day of season 18, which means we need to prepare for season 19. So this video, look at it, look at it. This video is actually about showcasing 5 new teams for the new season in order to, just bring you guys something fresh and something new compared to last season and give you, a little chance to just, yeah, explore the field trying some very unique things, I suppose. So, what we see me using in this first match is definitely quite unique. Licky Licky, Grimmsnarl, Indeedee, Life Orb Cinderace this time, not Razor Claw, and then the Dragapult Colossal, right? I'm gonna put off showing these videos until the very end. My hopes is that I can get through showing you guys the 5 teams in the first 25 minutes of the video, and then I'll have like enough time to show these last 2 matches and make the video about 40 minutes long. So, welcome. Like I said, we are showing 5 teams in this video. The channel has been growing quite a bit recently, so I really do appreciate everyone who's here. And if you give a, like or subscribe, I really do appreciate it. Especially, appreciate all the new subscribes. I do want to grow the channel. Question of the day is going to be what what suggestions do you have for these teams? It is, like with team building, there's always a lot of things to be thought about, like what it goes best on certain teams. And I'll, go through why I think the things I chose are right. But in general, I do appreciate people's feedback and what you think would technically be the best variant for everything. So the first team that we're going to look at here that we have for next month, sorry if I just kind of rambled there. The first team that we have for next month is actually going to be a Regirock, Snorlax, and Blastoise team. So Regirock, Snorlax, and Blastoise are definitely going to be your 3 most common Dynamaxes on this team. If we go through it person by person, we have Vanillux, which I actually have a variant that I will share along with this variant, like Pokepaste. I'm going to share the Pokepastes as well as the team codes, and I'm going to share variant Pokepastes if you want to help me decide on variants. So I have another variant of this team where I tried out Spectrier instead of Vanillux. Spectrier is another option for a very viable Dynamax. The thing is it doesn't do spread damage, and I do feel like having this extra possibility of doing Life Orb spread damage benefits this team very greatly. So I do suggest trying out the Spectre variant and the Manilux variant. If you think that you like the Spectre variant better, and enough people, I guess, agree on that, I will release the other variant with Spectrier instead, but I do think this works very well. And Vanillux is a great counter for some of the things this team needs. So Vanillux, is actually Life Orb, max special attack, max speed with special attack nature, modest, I suppose, with Blizzard, Hyper Voice, Protect, and Freeze Dry. There is an argument to be made for Flash Cannon over, I suppose, Hyper Voice it would have to be, but Freeze Dry is very nice to have against opposing water Pokemon, and with the Life Orb it does a lot of damage, like can almost do like 75% of some Dynamax water Pokemon. So it's pretty scary, and can definitely catch people off guard. Sometimes I do lead Vanillux Indeedee if I want to just try to start getting some very powerful spread damage right off the bat and just go like follow me Blizzard, or if I don't even need to follow me, you can just Blizzard Expanding Force. But the Blizzard does do a lot. It has a 30% freeze chance, which is, higher than Ice Beam. And the spread damage plus 100% accuracy in Hail makes Blizzard pretty threatening if it has, very powerful, can also 30% chance freeze both opponents. So Vanillux actually works pretty well on this team. Another lead that you might do is Indeedee Snorlax if you want to try to, go for the belly drum setup. I originally had a variant of this Snorlax that was Iron Head instead of Fire Punch, but I realized that if I'm going against something like a Ferrothorn, and I mean Snorlax isn't great against Kartana, but it can work. If I'm going against something like Ferrothorn or Kartana, then my literal only answer is Mystic Fire and Indeedee if I don't have Fire Punch Snorlax. And I also had a lot less defense on this Snorlax originally, and I fixed that a little bit to make it more viable. So this was the original variant I was thinking about. 201 defense, 283 defense, special defense, sorry, at level 100 with Iron Punch, Iron Head. So you really do want to get that Iron Head off when you Dynamax right away. But the problem is with this variant is that if someone leads Earthquake, it does a lot more damage. So what I think is better is to lead this variant with 251 defense, 256 special defense, 279 attack. So you do have to sacrifice from 306 attack. You have to go down to 279, but it's honestly okay. Like, and then I have, instead of Thunder Punch, I have Fire Punch, which the idea behind Thunder Punch would be that you can avoid being put to sleep with Snorlax, but I do think that being able to break sashes with Ice Punch, being able to deal the 4 times super effective against certain things with Ice Punch can be pretty important, but I don't know. That's something that you could suggest as well if you think that Thunder Punch would actually be better than Ice Punch, but I do think that that works pretty well. So let's get back to the team. So you might lead Indeedee Snorlax, go for the belly drum, and then just start trying to stomp people with Snorlax. Then you have Comfey in the back to Floral Healing Snorlax, and you can bring Vanillux as your 4th person to Blizzard spam the field and do extra damage, or you could bring Blastoise, who we'll get into in a second. But really, if you're a lot of the time on this team, you are going to be bringing 2 supporters, which I have talked about being a problem in the past, but it can work on certain teams. And this was actually the team that I said it was okay on. So another lead that you might do is you might lead Indeedee Blastoise. You can follow me Shell Smash, get that, white herb activation to not lower your defense, but get +2 attack, special attack speed. And this Blastoise actually has Water Spout. So if Indeedee lasts long enough, what you can do is just keep using Follow Me and Water Spout spam, and you have another form of very powerful spread damage, kind of like Vanillux with Blizzard. But Blastoise is also a very viable Dynamax when it gets off the Shell Smash. And if you're even feeling really greedy like I did in one of my Showdown matches, you can Shell Smash twice. And it worked. It worked. But so there's that. You can Indeedee Snorlax, you can Indeedee Blastoise, you can Indeedee Vanillux. If you Indeedee Vanillux, you probably want to bring Regirock Comfey in the back or something, because you need a way to have a strong setup in the back. So you maybe either bring Comfey Regirock or Comfey Blastoise in the back, and then just Dynamax Blastoise without even Shell Smashing maybe. But then the final lead that you can do on this team is Comfy Regirock. Comfy Regirock is an amazing duo, honestly. Random Gaming VGC used it against me last, in one of our best of threes, and it's definitely very threatening. He did suggest to me that I take Drain Punch off Regirock for Protect in order if I want Trick Room, and just let these moves kind of carry it. And Thunder Punch allows you to not be put to sleep, which is great. And also, if you're worried about being put to sleep, you could technically protect Trick Room and then Dynamax Thunder Punch the next turn. But you do got to technically look out for Venusaurs. But if you're really looking out for a Venusaur, you can also just follow me Blizzard on turn one. So I mean, this team's got counters, but if you lead Regirock Comfy, the great thing is then you already have out Comfy right away to floral healing if you need to. When you set up the rock, because Regirock is a rock Pokemon, this Sandstorm raises special defense times 1.5, brings it up to about 375 at level 100. If you get one special defense boost on that, you go up to literally like 520, 530-ish special defense, and it naturally has 480 defense investments. So this thing is ready to become a tank, ready to be weakness policy, and I guess that makes it kind of okay to take off Drain Punch. But, when you do get all those boosts on, having a weakness policy plus 2 special defense and having Drain Punch actually makes Regirock very viable on its own and able to carry itself without having healing support. So I think there's an argument for everything, and in the Poke Paste I share, I suggest playing around with it. Maybe I'll share it with Drain Punch, and if you want to take off Drain Punch, you can put on Protect. But I do think having Protect on multiple Pokemon is important. So let's get on to the next team. I hope that explained it well enough. The next team that I want to share with you guys is actually a Perish Trap team. So you obviously don't have to go for Perish Trap on this team, but I think a lot of the time I find myself playing around Perish Trap and trying to go Dynamax turn one and knocking out as many people as I can, and just having Politoed in the back if I really need it. But the nice thing is that this team can get away with not using Politoed and picking up wins. We do have some slightly things you might not expect on this team, like Safety Goggles Glastrier, and Glastrier is also not max attack, max HP. It has some special defense investment to about 310 at level 100 for both of them, and that makes it 365 HP and 394 attack. So it's not maxed out, but the idea behind this Glastrier is really to either have longevity or to help you carry the end game if you don't Dynamax it. So that's why we're running it more bulky. And I have another variant of this team where I actually, instead of using Tornadus, had weakness policy Grimmsnarl, where you would activate the weakness policy on Grimmsnarl, catch people off guard, and try to pick up knockouts like that. I'll share that Poke Paste too if you think that variant would be better. I also think that Whimsicott would do just fine on this team instead of Tornadus, but I think Tornadus provides a nice difference in types to this team, and I also think that having Protect on Tornadus is nice, but Whimsicott is definitely a viable option, that could have worked, and would just be Fake Tears would be the addition instead of Protect. That would be nice. We have Mental Herb on Tornadus to not worry about getting taunted, and we actually, because of that, have Slow Tornadus with bulk investment. which I can show that as well, actually. So this is the original Tornadus idea that I thought about, like plus speed nature, max speed, 300 special attack, but pretty weak in terms of defense, special defense, like 195. And then I decided to go with this variant. Slightly more HP, 226 defense, special defense, more special attack, and 260 speed. I'm not actually worried about how fast this Tornadus is because of Prankster, and because of Mental Herb, and because of Protect. So it's not going to get Fake Out first turn if I don't want it to. It's not going to get Taunted first turn if I don't want to. Or I don't have to worry about Taunt first turn if I don't want to. So we do have multiple things going for that for Tornadus. And Tornadus also benefits from having Hurricane in the rain, do 100% accuracy. But something else that I also wanted to try on this team is Nidoking. So let's start looking at the Pokemon one by one. So Nidoking does have Life Orb Sheer Force. It does a lot of damage. There's definitely argument to be made for Ice Beam over Blizzard, but I actually think Nidoking can be a very viable Dynamax option. It has max speed nature, meaning that if you can get a Venusaur out of the sun, you will always be faster than it. If it's Sash Venusaur, that's something you need to think about, obviously, but we do also have Quick Attack Sylveon. So, you know, if they're gonna try to put anyone to sleep, it's probably Nidoking, and you could start I don't know, Politoed Sylveon. You could start Sylveon Nidoking. I don't know. But sorry, I'm just thinking about like a Venusaur counter right now. Every team needs to be able to counter certain things, which is the thing. But I wanna keep going. So because we like to Dynamax Nidoking quite a lot, the Blizzard after you Dynamax is actually really nice to have. And I just think Nidoking makes this team quite more versatile. But there is also argument to be made for Sludge Bomb on Nidoking. I think non-Dynamax Nidoking with Sludge Bomb can do quite some damage. But I really do like this move spread here. The one thing that you would obviously possibly take off is Flamethrower, but Flamethrower is your Kartana answer and your Ferrothorn answer, which neither of those Pokemon are really that good against Nidoking either. So you can catch people off guard with that, hopefully. And you know, Dynamax Nidoking, you can Tailwind plus Dynamax turn 1. So yeah, let's think about some leads that go well with Nidoking. You might lead, Tornadus Nidoking. You might lead Politoed Nidoking. You might lead Sylveon Nidoking. And that can be, you know, pretty solid, I guess. You might even lead like Glastrier Nidoking if you're really trying to. I'm just kind of going through everything right now. So let's move on to the next Pokemon. Tornadus, we kind of talked about, has Hurricane, Taunt, Tailwind, and Protect. I think is a pretty standard Tornadus, so we don't really need to talk much more about it. It supports Kingdra really well. If you want to pair it with Kingdra, you can do, Tailwind, Dynamax Kingdra, and it's already as if you have the Drizzle without setting it up yourself. Then when you use Dynamax Max Geyser, now you have 4 times speed because you have Tailwind plus Swift Swim. So, it can definitely pair well with, with Kingdra turn 1. Kingdra has Hydro Pump, Dragon Pulse instead of Draco Meteor. I generally don't like the moves that lower your special attack harshly. Just not really a fan. So, yeah, Dragon Pulse, Hydro Pump, Hurricane, Protect, and I actually went for weakness policy on this Kingdra, which we activate with the quick attack on Sylveon, which I think is moderately obvious, but not everybody expects it because of drizzle, right? Like, you obviously want the drizzle, so people expect you to lead, like, Politoed Kingdra. But if you lead Sylveon Kingdra, you can quick attack, set off your weakness policy, and Hydro Pump, and just set up the rain for yourself. So it's not really a problem. But if you're really worried about going first, you can lead Politoed Kingdra or Tornadus Kingdra, and then, try to conserve Politoed for as long as you can with using Protect and things like that. The Agua Berry is good. Politoed also has significant bulk investment, as opposed to like max special attack, even though it does have some special attack. And we want this Politoed to maybe helping hand Kingdra if it needs to, but also to stay around long enough to see two of their Pokemon get knocked out, me have at least 3 Pokemon left, and for me to use Perish Song. So we do want everyone on this team to have Protect. That's another reason why I'm using Tornadus instead of Whimsicott, is because we actually want everyone to have Protect. I think you could definitely get away with Whimsicott. And the Grimmsnarl variant that I was considering was Sucker Punch, Drain Punch, Spirit Break, and Protect with the weakness policy, and then Kingdra had like Expert Belt or something. So it's all good and fun. Glastrier can obviously also be a good Dynamax, which this Glastrier is going to survive things a lot more than people expect it to before it gets any boosts. So, if you want Glastrier to be your person who sweeps the team and tries to set you up for Perish Song, you can. But I guess those are really your 3 main Dynamaxes, right? Going to be like Nidoking, Kingdra, and Glastrier. I have actually Dynamaxed Sylveon, so you can't count out the boy Sylveon, the girl, excusez-moi. I think she is French. And it has Quick Attack, Protect, Hyper Voice, and Yawn. There is argument to be made for Mystical Fire, but I think we get away just fine without it, and I think Yawn is actually really important for this team in terms of shaking up the field and making it harder for your opponent to do what they want to do. So I think that explains the team pretty well. These teams I'm sharing this month are very interesting compared to last month. Let me just say that. They're quite threatening, and I'm hoping that they work, pretty well. I have tried most of them, or all of them, and I do think they work pretty well, but please let me know what you think, and if you think any of the variants I've suggested are the best, compared to what we have, and maybe I will switch it. Okay, so this is the team that is in the first match in the video. So we've got Grimmsnarl, Indeedee, Cinderace, Licky, Coalossal, and Dragapult. The Cold Dragapult side of this team is really meant for threat more than anything else, for someone to be like, oh god, like what if they lead Dragapult Cole? And it is obviously a very viable possibility, so, you can lead Dragapult Cole. But another possibility that I considered on this team is Glastrier or Feeny instead of Coalossal Dragapult. Or maybe even just taking off Indeedee for Feeny, because then you can set up the Mystic Terrain, and you can even swagger Cinderace if you want. So the main idea behind this team, I had been wanting to try Own Tempo Swagger for quite some time, and then forgot about it until I saw James Beck's video with Avalugg, and I remembered that the Pokemon I wanted to try with Own Tempo is actually Licky. This thing is a chunk. It has Body Slam, Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch. I just think is a kind of really nice spread. It can get Knockoff, which, Knockoff would be quite threatening, but we really don't need the special defense drops that much. With this team, you really don't bring Coalossal if you're not going to Dynamax it that much. So the core is a lot of the time going to be like Grimmsnarl Licky Licky lead, where you swagger yourself and Dynamax Licky Licky turn 1 if possible. You might fake out turn 1, you might like Thunder Wave turn 1, but that's what you're going to do a lot of the time. And then bringing Indeedee in the back to redirect away from Licky Licky if needed. But then you also have Life Orb Cinderace, which is an absolute powerhouse. I did decide on Adamant instead of Jolly, and I know that this is something me and Random Gaming talked about that he suggested against doing, but if you decide to Dynamax Cinderace, the extra power picks up certain knockouts that to me feel very important. For instance, you can one-shot a Dragovish with max Airstream. I'm not sure if it requires a roll. It might actually be a roll, but I did see that if you have Jolly, it leaves Dracovish at about like 11 to 10, like 9 to 11%, and with the Adamant, that would be a pretty much for sure knockout. And so you do pick up certain one shots with Adamant Cinderace when you want to Dynamax it. And if you're really worried about the speed matchups, there's not that many speed matchups that it has to worry about. Raichu can be faster than it, Whimsicott can be faster than it, because it's not Jolly. Cobalion, Virizion, but Cobalion and Virizion, you're going to lead Follow Me against, right? And then just like Pyro Ball one-shot them. And you stop them from being able to even beat up because you have Follow Me, hopefully, right? So, you don't have to worry about the speed there. If you are worried about the speed, you also have Thunder Wave on Grimmsnarl to, paralyze people. And so you can make yourself faster in that regard. So we're not that worried about this speed, but I do think basically the way I felt about it was that like the second that I saw Cinderace not pick up a crucial knockout that like it left something on 1%, like I was going to instantly just want to make it Adamant again. And I mean, sure, maybe there's going to come a time where Cinderace isn't the fastest thing and it gets like taken out because of that, and then I'll wish that I had Jolly, right? But that's why you have Follow Me and things like that to try to mitigate that problem. So I do like Adamant Cinderace, and I'm really looking forward to trying Life Orb Cinderace more. We don't have Sucker Punch because it doesn't go well with Psychic Surge, and I do like this Cinderace spread. So you can start Indeedee Cinderace if you really want. You can start Grimmsnarl Licky Licky. You can start Dragapult Colossal with, Cinderace Indeedee in the back, I guess. Like, I don't know. I think this team has quite a bit of variation in it, and obviously, I just think that there's so many times where you don't want to lead Colossal. That the Feeney version of this team with Feeney last year actually felt slightly better, but Dragapult Colossal is a force to be reckoned with. There's no doubt about that. I think if Colossal had Solar Beam, I would feel slightly better about it. But when someone is trying to counter Colossal, they're very often going to do something like lead their own Feeney. Lead Landorus, which you have Licky Licky for, and you can just swagger Max Hailstorm, Max Thunder Punch, whatever. And so I do really like this team. This actually might be my favorite team that I created for this season. Fourth team is the Arcanine, Urshifu, Type-Null, Morpeko, Excelgor, and Slowbro team. So this is the fun team that I'm sharing for this season. I do not guarantee this team is going to win you every match. However, I do think this team can definitely win in Masters League. And if I'm being dead honest, I think this team is possibly the least is one of the most multi-dimensional teams that I'm sharing in terms of like the amount of different leads that you can do. Like if we look at this team, there's some very specific leads that you want to do, like Indeedee Vanillux, Indeedee Blastoise, Indeedee Snorlax. Like you're almost always gonna want to lead Indeedee or Comfey in a given situation. With this team, you're almost always going to want to lead like Tornadus Nidoking, Tornadus Kingdra, Politoed Kingdra, you know what I mean? Like things like that. With this team, you know, Grimmsnarl, Licky Licky, Indeedee Cinderace, Dragapult, Colossal. This team, in different situations, you can end up pairing almost anything together as a front lead and having it work well. I did add some minor variations to this team to make it, I think, what I would call optimized. The thing about this team is I didn't want to switch any Pokemon off. I wanted to make this team work with what it is because this is a team that I built, like one of the first teams that I built that I really liked. So, you know, we have now instead of Throat Spray Arcanine, we have Weakness Policy Arcanine, who you don't actually set off with Urshifu because Urshifu is a very solid Dynamax option if you don't have anything else to Dynamax. So Urshifu has Drain Punch, Surging Strikes, Iron Head, and Aerial Ace with the Assault Vest. The person who sets off the weakness policy on Arcanine is Excelgor with the Water Shuriken. So if you're going to do weakness policy Arcanine on turn 1, you do Water Shuriken, Excelgor plus Arcanine, Dynamax Arcanine. And this thing, we can get into some stuff for sure. I did have to take off Dragon Pulse for extreme speed. It feels a little bit unfortunate, but I do think having that priority extreme speed that is still significantly powerful, even though we have modest nature, is pretty important and has won me some pretty crucial matches. So, yeah, you can lead Excelgor, Arcanine. Type Null, I decided to actually go with the fully physical type Null with Swords Dance. I think it gives this team more flexibility. I think you don't actually want a Dynamax type Null turn 1 that much on this team anymore with the way that it is, but you definitely like can if you really want Dynamax type Null if they don't have Intimidate, Threat, you know, Dynamax it, Aerial Ace, and Protect Morpeko, and then start like trying to go Berserk with Morpeko. But often what you're going to want to do is send out like Morpeko type Null or like Urshifu type Null or something like that, where they feel like they can't avoid the Urshifu or the Morpeko, and you will Dynamax Urshifu maybe, or Dynamax Morpeko, or Protect Morpeko, and go for the Swords Dance on type Null turn 1, and start to, you know, give them even more things to worry about, basically. Like, oh, you thought you were worried about Urshifu? You thought you were worried about Morpeko? Now we got Swords Dance type Null next to it, with the Swords Dance activated. But honestly, Dynamax Morpeko on this team is a threat. And it has Brick Break instead of Psychic Fang for breaking screens, but also for if you Dynamax Morpeko and get off a Max Knuckle, Morpeko becomes seriously scary actually. So people really got to look out for this thing. And Seed Bomb allows you to take care of things like Rhyperior if you need to, which we also have Excelgor for. Excelgor has Water Shuriken, Focus Blast, Bug Buzz, and Giga Drain. So you can Dynamax Excelgor at times. Back in the day, when I used this team in like Series 7, Series 6, I actually did Dynamax Excelgor and like one-shot a Rhyperior with Max Overgrowth. So, you know, you can. You definitely can. But we have Focus Sash, Unburden, Excelgor as well. And then the Slowbro, I think, is the one thing I haven't talked about yet. I actually decided to go with full attack Slowbro. I think this team doesn't have that much support on it besides like catching people off guard and using Protect on like Morpeko, Extreme Speed, Snarl. And so something I thought about was having, instead of like Flamethrower or Ice Beam on Slowbro, is having Yawn. I think Yawn could have been very good on Slowbro, but the thing is against a Landorus or a Ferrothorn or a Kartana, Slowbro can actually do amazing with Ice Beam and Flamethrower. So, against a Landorus, you might lead like Urshifu Slowbro and make them want to worry about Urshifu, switch out Urshifu for like type Null, and you can actually like Dynamax Slowbro and max Hailstorm and one-shot a Landorus. And with, Quick Draw, Quick Claw, we do enjoy that quite a lot. If you get the Quick Claw activation, you pretty much just ensure that if they don't switch out Landorus right away, you're going to knock it out right, as well as like a Ferrothorn if they don't protect. So Quick Draw, Quick Claw, Slowbro is very amazing, and I think this team is probably one of the most versatile, even though it doesn't feel as good. But the amount of different leads you can do are very various, let's say. So this is the last team. I think this team actually feels like the second most versatile, like compared to this one, in terms of like the amount of different leads that you can do. This is the Guzzlord Metagross team that you've seen me piloting and practicing, trying to figure out over the last month at times. We have, Metagross with Weakness Policy, Meteor Mash, Ice Punch instead of Rock Slide. Earthquake is good because of Landorus and Celesteela being able to avoid it. And, just Weakness Policy Metagross I think is really nice. There's an argument to be made for taking some special defense off for more attack, which I didn't do, and maybe I should have thought about. But I do like making Metagross really tanky, and I mean, hey, like 660 660 attack at level 100 is pretty nice. Like, sure, it's not 700, but it's quite a lot. And so yeah, I mean, you can lead Metagross Spectrier on this team. I did end up taking off Protect on Spectrier for Will-O-Wisp. It was a little bit of a hard call, but I think the reason that you really want to do that is that it allows you to offset the ability of both special attackers and attackers with Spectrier. So if you're up against a very threatening special attacker, you can Snarl. If you're up against a very threatening physical attacker, you can Will-O-Wisp. And those are your two, counters, I suppose. And then we have Shadow Ball and Bulldoze, of course. You can't even Dynamax Spectrier in some cases. So there's some versatility in that as well. Then we have Landorus with Life Orb, Earthquake, Rock Slide, U-Turn, and Fly. Earthquake synergizes again with Celesteela. If you really need to avoid it with Metagross, you can Protect. But technically, if you really needed to, you could use Earthquake to set off Metagross's Weakness Policy, which I wouldn't suggest at all. But, you could. You'd probably be better off with U-Turn if U-Turn is super effective on Metagross. I don't think it is actually, but it'd be better. Celesteela is the variant that gets a special defense boost if it knocks something out. So you can Dynamax Celesteela and try to pick up some special defense boosts, get things going pretty crazy. I did use my PZ Celesteela team in the second Corviknights tour, and I was able to go +3 special defense on Celesteela in a game. So I'm just saying, like, it's my guy. And I very much so enjoy this special this Celesteela variant that gets the special defense boosts. Guzzlord is an amazing assault vest user actually, and if you don't have a better Dynamax, this thing goes very well with the Intimidate support. So you can Dynamax Guzzlord, constantly cycle out Landorus for more Intimidate boosts, and just kind of try to go crazy, I guess. Like, it does have high horsepower, knockoff, heavy slam, and dragon claw to make it a pretty powerful, offensive attacker that can also, get its special defense and defense up. But unfortunately, it does succumb to being able to be intimidated. But but it also gets a beast boost attack whenever it knocks something out, so I guess it can mitigate that. And I think it has a better option of moves as an offensive attacker. Finally, we have Regieleki, Thunderbolt, Electroweb, Volt Switch, Protect with Magnet, pretty standard. And, you could argue for screens, I suppose, but I just don't really like. I think this is fine. I don't know what much more I want to say about this team besides that. Like, you can lead Landorus Celesteela, you can lead Landorus Guzzlord, you can lead Celesteela Guzzlord. I feel like the one thing that I forget to do at times is talk about like specific things that you want to counter on teams. Like if you want to, be able to counter Venusaur, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if you need to counter Landorus, Indeedee, things like that. But let me see how much time it's been. I feel like it's already been like 30 minutes. Jeez, yeah, we're not even going to have time to look at any of those matches. So, part 2, crazy matches. Let me see if there's anything that I need to address in terms of countering certain things. So these teams, let me just say that there are certain things that you just need to be able to counter. Torkoal, Charizard, Venusaur, Regieleki, Landorus, Incineroar. And so when you look at these teams, Metagross, Colossal, so when you look at these teams, you're gonna want to look for certain ways that they have the ability to counter things like that. Like, how does this team deal with a prankster user? How does this team deal with a fake out user? And things like that. So that definitely ended up being quite a long, go through. But that's what happens when you have 5 teams to show. I hope that you did find this informative, though, and I hope you enjoy using these teams, because I actually do think the teams that I'm sharing this month are a whole nother level to some degree compared to what I shared last month. And obviously don't take the Morpeko team seriously. But then again, I do have a video of me absolutely stomping people with that team. So, till the next video. And thanks for watching. Thanks for giving any like or subscribe. And if you have any suggestions for this team or any of the teams, please let me know. So have a good day, y'all, until we are playing some matches with these teams.